Hello. Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Let me see here. Yes, we are live on Instagram. We are also live on Facebook and YouTube. And I am here to answer your questions. That's what these lives are about. I am committed to going live every Friday for as long as these strikes continue. This is really time that is just for you. It is about answering your questions, helping support you in any way possible as you manage your money during this time. It is obviously really difficult when we are in these periods for many of us, significantly reduced income, if not altogether eliminated. And there are things that we can do to get through. And that's what I want to help you do. There's no magic, obviously, no easy answers, but there are some strategies, some tips, some things that you can put in place to help you get through this time. Now, we were sent in, let's see, how many questions? We were sent in 3 questions in advance. I'm absolutely going to answer those today. But I also want to give the opportunity for anybody joining us live to just pop a question in the chat, and I will be happy to answer for you and to help you with this however I can at all. Now, let me go ahead and first, what I'll do is I will just give you a quick summary, very quick, of the 5 topics that we covered in your financial survival guide during the strikes. Now, if you haven't yet watched that video on Instagram, you can just pop up to our bio and you'll find the link. Facebook, we've posted it on our Facebook account a couple of times, but you can also always just email us because I see we have a handful of people watching live on Facebook. You can go ahead and email us at info@abundancebound.com. And I am happy to send you the recording so that you can watch that video, your financial survival guide during the strikes. Now, we covered 5 topics during that webinar. First is your mindset. This is where we talked about having the willingness to actively nurture and strengthen your mindset because that is a critical piece of money management, especially during difficult times. We then talked about your number. This is where I gave you strategies to get clarity. Our live on Instagram went out. Hold on. Let me try and go live again on Instagram. Sorry for everybody on Facebook. If you can just give us a second. Technology. All right, let's see if we can get back live on Insta. Give me 1 second. Okay, good. We're live again on Instagram. All right, sorry about that, guys. So your number, your monthly number, this was where I gave you strategies to get clarity on your monthly expenses as quickly as possible, because having that clarity allows you to take action towards financial stability, but action towards financial stability that is best for you, right? That's really, really important. And one of the things that I want to share here is to please be aware, we just a couple of weeks ago, we did another free webinar diving really deep into your monthly number. And that webinar is available. The recording of that webinar is available, but only until this Sunday at midnight. So again, please be sure you grab the recording for your number. I shared my screen, I shared bank statements to show you exactly how to utilize your own information to get clarity on what your monthly needs are. Okay, so please, if you haven't grabbed that recording, your monthly number, please grab it from our bio so that you can watch that before it is taken down on Sunday. We also talked about taming your debt. I shared strategies for lowering your card's minimum payments, your interest rates, your fees, how to go about requesting those reductions during these times of difficulty. Now, on this coming Tuesday, September 5th, I'm going to be doing a 90-minute webinar specifically on debt management strategies during the strikes, during times of crisis. So if debt is something that you are struggling with, please, again, visit the link in our bio and be sure to sign up to join us this coming Tuesday, September 5th at 5 p.m. Pacific. So taming your debt. We talk about your runway. This is where I want you to have clarity around, based on your monthly number and then your savings, your access to credit, how much time can you withstand this particular crisis? What is your runway? How much time do you actually have? I want you to have clarity around the length of your runway so that we can take steps to extend it, okay? Because obviously at this point, it's Friday, September 1st. We do not know how much longer these strikes are going to last. So we need to do everything possible to give you as much time as possible to withstand these strikes. And then the final step in your financial survival guide during the strikes was where we talked about income. Okay, what are strategies, things you can do right away to start bringing in income? And also, how can you be utilizing this time to either increase skills, to do some research, to think about ways that you can develop multiple streams of income in your life? Because what we know is that, particularly for all of us as non-traditional earners, having multiple streams of income is what allows us to better withstand the ups and downs that are going to continue. Okay, once these strikes are over, it doesn't mean that being a non-traditional earner is going to suddenly become, smooth sailing. As non-traditional earners, we have to expect ups and downs. And one of the ways to fortify ourselves against those ups and downs is by developing multiple streams of income. So, again, I am going live on these Fridays to answer any questions that you have about your money management during these times, during the strikes, during really any time of financial crisis. This time is specifically for you. So I invite you to pop any questions that you have in the chat, and I will go ahead and let me just make sure that I'm just gonna type hi there so that hopefully, let me see, can I see? I just want to make sure that, okay, yes. So I should be able to see your questions if you pop them in the chat. Now, we did get a few questions so in advance, so I'm going to go ahead and answer those. So the first question, I was given a gift of some money to help during this time. I'm not sure if I should use it to pay off credit card debt, or should I just keep it in savings to cover my monthly bills? Oh my gosh. Okay, this is an excellent question. All right. So you were given a gift of money to help during these times. Fabulous, right? Now the question is, how do you best use that? Should you use it to pay off credit card debt? Should you keep it in savings to just cover your monthly bills? All right. Now, the key to answering this question really is having clarity around your monthly number. All right. So sometimes I will sound like a broken record, but what I really, really want to ask this person and anyone else that this will be helpful to do is to please click in the link in our bio and to download your number recording. Okay, that during that webinar, I took 90 minutes and really walked you step by step how to utilize your bank statements and your credit card statements to get really clear about your monthly number. Okay. So once you know what your monthly number is, now just for the purposes of these types of Q&As, I like to just use really easy numbers. Let's say that your monthly number is $5,000, okay? It's obviously not going to be that tidy, but let's just round up or round down and say your number is $5,000. All right. That would be what you need on a monthly basis, and it would include paying the minimums on your debt. So if you are currently carrying, which this person is, any credit card debt, your monthly number would include paying the minimums. Now, why are we paying only the minimums? We're paying only the minimums because we're in a time of financial crisis, because we're in a time of financial uncertainty. So just for this period, we're paying the minimums to conserve our resources. Now, once you know what that number is, then you take a look at what you have in savings, okay? So let's say that this person, their monthly number is $5,000 and they have $10,000 in savings, okay? That would mean that they have 2 months where they can cover their monthly expenses, including the minimums on their debt. That is the length of their runway. Okay, so then someone gives you a gift of money, all right? Now, let's say that they give you another $5,000. They give you a $5,000 gift. And so you say to yourself, okay, should I utilize this to pay off my credit card debt, or should I use this to just hang on and to give myself another month of runway? Okay, This is where I'm going to recommend a little bit of strategy. So what I would suggest that this person do is I would suggest that they look at that $5,000 a month that they need, and they get as a rough idea of how much of that $5,000 cannot be paid using credit cards. So maybe my rent is $2,000 and I am not able to pay my rent using a credit card, okay? But maybe all the rest of my monthly expenses, the gas for my car, my groceries, I could pay for using a credit card. What I would probably do is I would have that person take the some of that $5,000 that they were given as a gift and go ahead and put it towards the credit card, understanding that if they need to, they would in coming months utilize the credit card to cover that portion of their monthly expenses. So just to kind of make this clear, they're given a gift of $5,000. $2,000, their rent cannot be paid with a credit card. What I would probably do is I would take 2,000 of that 5,000 and I would add it to my savings to give myself an additional month where I know my rent is covered. And then I would go ahead and I would take the 3,000 and I would put it towards the credit cards so that it lowers my credit card debt. It may only lower my debt very temporarily because I may need to turn to utilizing that, but that buys me a month or two where I am reducing the amount of interest that I have to be paying. Okay, so this is just where you can bring in a little strategy once you have clarity on your specific numbers. Okay, so just to summarize, what's really important is first that you know your monthly number. And again, please go grab the recording for your number and watch that. And maybe during this holiday weekend, you can take a couple of hours to do the work that I detail in that webinar and get clear, really clear. Guys, in these times, we cannot be guessing about what our numbers are. Please trust me on this. We need to have as much accuracy as possible. And I promise I show you how to do that without taking hours and hours and days and days. Okay. So you get clear on that number first, and then just estimate of that monthly number, how much can you pay on a credit card and how much must be cash. And then I would preserve as much cash as you can to cover months of those things that must be covered in cash. If my rent is $2,000 and it must be covered in cash, if I have $2,000 in cash, I have 1 month that I can pay my rent. If I have $4,000 in cash, 2 months, $6,000, 3 months, right? So these are the things that I want you to know. And then you could put the rest of the gift towards the credit card and then utilize the credit card to cover those expenses. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Let's see, we were sent a couple other questions, but let me check the chat. Shrey, thank you for doing what you do, Miata. It makes a big impact on us all. You're so very welcome. Thank you for being here. Again, for anyone who has joined recently, please feel free to pop questions in the chat. I apologize to our viewers on Facebook. I do not have a way to see, at least I don't think so. I don't have a way to see, oh, maybe I do. I'm just gonna, sorry guys, but I'm sending a message to those of you who are on Facebook. If you see that message, you can go ahead and type your question wherever you see the message, and hopefully I will see it. But I am able, Instagram, all of you guys on Instagram, I'm able to see your questions if you just pop them in the chat. So please feel free to do that. Okay, here's another great question. I am running low on the money currently in my savings account. Should I use credit cards to cover expenses, or should I pull from my Roth IRA? For those of you who aren't familiar, a Roth IRA is just a type of individual retirement account. That's what the IRA stands for, individual retirement account. Okay, and so this person says they're running low on the money currently in their savings account. Should they use credit cards to cover expenses, or should they pull from their Roth? Now, a piece of education that you need to have about Roths, okay? Now, just really quickly, I will share that there are two kinds of IRAs, individual retirement accounts. One is a Roth and the other is a traditional. And very basically, the difference between them is that the money that I put into a Roth has already been taxed, okay? So if I earn, again, guys, I'm just doing this to sort of keep easy numbers. If I earn $60,000 in a given year, okay, and I contribute $5,000 to my Roth IRA, individual retirement account, then I am still going to pay taxes on the $60,000 that I earned. So I do not get a tax deduction now for the $5,000 that I put into my Roth. However, that money in my Roth can continue to grow. I can invest it, it can grow. And then later in retirement, when I take that money out of my Roth, I do not have to pay taxes on it, okay? So essentially with a Roth, I don't get the tax benefit now, but I do get it later. I can take all of the money out of my Roth later without paying any taxes on it. With a traditional, it's the opposite. So with a traditional, I earn $60,000. I put $5,000 into my traditional IRA, my traditional individual retirement account, and I only pay taxes that year on $55,000, okay? So I get a tax benefit now. However, that $5,000 that I put in my IRA, I invest it, it grows, and then later, when I take the money out in retirement, I pay taxes then, okay? So that's the difference. Now, why do you need to know that with this question? Because the rules about withdrawing from an IRA, an individual retirement account, the only kind of retirement account that you can withdraw from early without penalty is a Roth, okay? That is the only, you cannot withdraw early before retirement from a traditional IRA without significant penalties, okay? So that's the first part of this question that is important, okay? This person who's asking, should they consider pulling from their Roth? It is super important to know that it is a Roth because that's the only kind of individual retirement account that they would be able to pull from without penalty. Okay. However, this is the caveat. Okay. They can only withdraw their contributions. They cannot withdraw any of the growth. Okay. So let's say in 2020, I put 5,000 in my Roth. In 2021, I put 5,000 in my Roth. In 2022, I put 5,000 in my Roth. So I have contributed $15,000 to my Roth. And let's say that after putting it in my Roth, I then invested it. I invested it in index funds, in the stock market, in bonds, however I invested the money in my Roth. Now, let's say that over the last 3 years, that $15,000 that I have put into my Roth has grown to $20,000. Okay. I can withdraw the 15. I cannot withdraw the 5 without incurring both a 10% early withdrawal penalty as well as a significant tax hit for having taken that money out. Okay. But the 15 is technically fair game. Now, what's tricky about answering this question for this person is that I don't know the details of their numbers of their account, their Roth, how their Roth is invested, and how their Roth has been doing. What we would generally say when we work with our members on their retirement accounts, what we would generally say is that a Roth can absolutely be a backup emergency account. It can absolutely serve that purpose, but the funds that you are considering as a part of your emergency fund, we would in general advise you to keep those in cash investments as opposed to putting them into the stock market. Okay. Our reason being that if you need to pull that money out in an emergency, we don't want you to have to pull that money out when the market is down. Okay. Because if you pull that money out when the market is down, you're pulling the money out at a loss, which means you will never get that money back. Okay. So the easiest way that I can answer this question, and again, to restate the question for anyone who's joined since I shared it, this person asked, I'm running low on the money currently in my savings account. Should I use credit cards to cover expenses or pull from my Roth? What I want this person to look at is how much have they contributed to their Roth. Okay, how much have they contributed? So I want them to look over all the years that they've been contributing and add up exactly how much they have contributed. Okay, because then that person will have clarity around what amount technically can they withdraw. Then I need them to look at, is their account currently up in value or is it down in value? Okay. If their account is up in value, then what I would say, and obviously everyone, this isn't something we want to do. This is about the situation that this person is in right now, okay? If their account is up, then I would absolutely consider withdrawing an amount that will increase their runway. So if they look now and the account is up, then I would say they want to give themselves some time, right? And it's impossible to call how much time because we don't know how much time we are going to, we just don't know, everyone, right? But I would probably be looking in the neighborhood of at least giving myself 3 months, right? An additional 3 months. So September, October, November, maybe even 4 months, just sort of trying to give myself runway through the end of this year. And I would consider, again, I don't know what funds this person has available, but I would consider withdrawing some of the money, knowing what I'm allowed to withdraw. I would consider withdrawing some of that to give myself more time to withstand these strikes. If your account value is down, we really want to not take the money out at a loss. And at that point, what I would really want you to look at is I would want you to look at what credit do you have available and what are the best terms at which you can utilize credit. So I would want this person to look at the credit cards they already have to see whether any of them have low interest rates. If they do not have low interest rates, I would want you to really look at your credit. I would want you to look at your credit score. And if you have a good to really, really good to excellent credit score, at that point, I would really want you to look at applying. So looking at places like the First Entertainment Credit Union, SAG-AFTRA Federal Credit Union, the Actors Federal Credit Union. These are credit unions who I believe all of them are offering loans, credit cards. You have to qualify, but they do understand the entertainment industry. So your ability to qualify, especially if you have a solid credit score, should be decent. Because what I would want you to do is to look at your ability to borrow at the best possible terms. Because everyone, if your retirement account, if this person's Roth is currently down by 25%, if they take that money out, they are instantaneously taking a 25% loss on that money, okay? As opposed to if they might be able to borrow money at 6% or 7% or even 10%, that would likely be a better option, okay? So this is another great question that I don't have all the specifics, but hopefully I've given you the steps you can take to get more clarity. And then please feel free to come back. Guys, again, I am committed to going live every Friday throughout the length of these strikes. So please feel free to come back with more clarification. And I'm happy to keep coaching on these issues as we go farther and farther in terms of what you know, okay? So again, for anyone who has joined, please feel free to pop in the chat if you have a question, any question that I can answer for you. I'm just looking to see. Oh, okay. We were sent one more question. So I will go ahead and answer this one. All right. This person said, I use a cash back credit card for the majority of my purchases, including groceries and dining out. I pay my statement balance every month. However, using a credit card makes it difficult to stick to a monthly budget for things like groceries and dining out. Should I start using cash instead for these expenses, especially during this time of financial uncertainty? Okay. You guys, these are great questions. And again, this question is really tied to your number, right? Which was the second topic that we cover in your financial survival guide during the strikes. Also, your runway, okay? It's really a question that straddles both of those topics. Because what we are looking to do during these times of financial uncertainty is we are looking to preserve our resources as much as is possible, right? We are looking to extend our runway, the length of time that we can keep going, okay? So, what I'm understanding from this question is that this person has been in the habit during normal financial times. They have been in the habit of using a cashback credit card. Great. So that they get that benefit and they pay their card in full every month. Okay. So in the Abundance Bound community, we talk a lot about the stages of credit card usage. And one of the things that I say is that we should only be concerning ourselves with credit card rewards and things like that when we are in what I call stage 4 of credit card usage. And very simply, stage 4 of credit card usage is when you no longer have debt, okay? And you are able to pay your credit cards off in full. That's when you are in stage 4 of credit card usage and can really focus on using credit cards to your benefit. So it sounds to me like this person is in stage 4. They use a cashback card and they pay for the card in full every month. But now, in this time of financial uncertainty, one of the big things that they are trying to do is they're trying to tighten everything. They're trying to lower their monthly expenses to increase their runway, right? The amount of time that they can keep going through these strikes. And so one of the ways that we tighten is we look at what I call our danger categories. We look at those categories where we have a tendency to spend more than we might like to if we're really being conscious and careful. Now, it sounds to me like this person is just like me, where my danger categories are absolutely groceries and dining out. Those are the places where, in a time where we are really trying to tighten everything, groceries, dining out are places where many of us are going to have to pay particular attention. Because when we're trying to tighten, there are things that are going to be what they are, right? Our rent, our mortgage, it's going to be what it is. Really, our car payments, our insurance payments, might we be able to conserve a little bit on things like gas? Yeah, but in many cases, there's a large percentage of our expenses that are what they are. When it's time to try to tighten, we need to look at those categories where we have the ability to do better. Okay. Now, so this person is thinking maybe they'll use cash instead for their dining out and their groceries to keep themselves on a very tight budget, right? This is what I have. I am deciding to spend on groceries. This is what I am deciding to spend on dining out. And by using cash, basically, when you're out, as opposed to utilizing a credit card where we have the ability to deceive ourselves. So, what I would say is that utilizing cash for your danger categories is certainly always a possible strategy. I tend to encourage our members to utilize basically digital envelopes. Okay. So here's what I mean. The envelope strategy, right? This was a strategy that like started back in the 1950s when usually the person who led the household finances, it was often the women in the household, they would put a certain amount of money in envelopes. So they put money in a grocery envelope and they put money into an entertainment envelope and the rent envelope. And then when the money in the envelope was gone, there was no more spending in that category. Now, with all of the digital tools that we have available to us, you can actually do this without using cash. So in our community, in the Abundance Bound community, many of us use an app that is called Good Budget. Okay, it's a completely free app. And we do not use the app the way that Good Budget suggests you use the app. We use the app just for our danger categories. And so that would be a possibility for this person. And very simply, all you're doing, and you could also just do this with a pen and paper, all you're doing is you are deciding how much money you have that week for that particular category. So if I say I have $150 for groceries, I would give myself $150 for groceries in the Good Budget app. And then for groceries, anytime I buy groceries, I would enter how much I spent so that I could see digitally that $150 going down. I would do the same for dining out. If I have a $50 or $75 budget for dining out for the week, then I would put that in the digital envelope and I would agree to enter in the app anytime I went to a restaurant or got coffee or got takeout. I would enter it so that I could see how much I have left. And everyone utilizing these kinds of apps, again, not for everything. I'm not suggesting that you're entering every single thing that you buy, but for your danger categories, right, can actually become like a game. So we have utilized the Good Budget app in my household since my kids were young. And it's just something that helps everybody stay on track with those categories that we know would likely get us in trouble. But it can, instead of feeling really constrictive, it can feel much more like a game, like it's fun. Like, oh my goodness, I have $14 left in my groceries. Digital envelope, what am I going to make from what's in the house until my envelope refills on Sunday? Or what can I go get at the grocery store for less than $14 that is going to carry me through until my digital envelope refills on Sunday or whatever day you set it to refill? So this is a great question. And I think all that this question is speaking to is how can we help ourselves stay on track. Because in a time of financial uncertainty, in a time of financial crisis, we really want to be very much on track with what we say we're going to do financially, everyone, right? Because if I say that I am going to be spending $5,000 a month and I determine how many months I have, what my runway is based on that $5,000, I have to do everything I can to stay within that $5,000. If I'm spending $5,500 or $5,800 or $6,000, then all of my calculations aren't going to serve me, and my stress levels are going to skyrocket. And so in this time, playing the games, utilizing the strategies to really make sure that you are staying on track, it will hugely benefit your ability to withstand these times of challenge, okay? And honestly, I genuinely believe that some of these strategies that we've talked about, some of these strategies, you will find yourself using them in an ongoing way. It is absolutely possible for you to not just come through these strikes, but to actually come out stronger financially on the other side based on the practices, the skills, the habits that you put in place during this time. Okay, so those were all of the questions that we were sent in advance. I want to give a moment if there's anyone here. I'm scrolling through the chat just to make sure I haven't missed anything. If there is anyone here who would like to pop a question in the chat, please, please do. I'm happy to help you with anything that I can. While I'm waiting to see if anyone has any questions, just a few reminders. The first is that I am committed to going live every Friday throughout the duration of these strikes. So please jot down your questions during the week. Drop them in a direct message to us or email them to us so that I can answer them for you here. I know that sometimes you may have just clicked on this live and you're like, oh, I don't know what I want to ask. So write down your questions, type them up so you can just copy and paste them, drop them in the chat. You can also send them to me in advance if you want your question to be totally anonymous. Just like these 3 people sent the questions, I am happy to answer them. Any information that you can give me to help give you as thorough an answer as possible is great. But don't be shy. This is an opportunity for you to get any coaching that will be helpful for you at all. Also, this coming Tuesday, September 5th, we will be doing the next free webinar in our series. The series is called Riding the Storm. We did the initial webinar that you can still grab the recording from our bio. Please grab that for yourself, share it with friends, anyone who might be helped by this. I went through some concrete strategies for just managing your finances during times of difficulty. So that was the initial webinar that continues to be available for you to watch. But we are also now taking each of the topics I covered and we're doing individual webinars to go into more detail on those topics. So we've already done one on mindset. We did one on your monthly number. That recording is available until Sunday. So please, please grab that and watch it if you haven't already. And this coming Tuesday, we will be having the live webinar on taming your debt. So this is where I'm going to be diving deep for anyone who is struggling with debt. We're going to talk about some actual scripts you can use to approach your debt holders to ask for what plans they have in place during times of hardship. Okay, we'll be talking about consolidation, things that you need to look out for during times of difficulty. We are especially vulnerable to false and misleading advertising, particularly around debt, because it can be something that feels really scary. So if you have credit card debt, especially, but we'll also be talking a bit about student loans, but if you are carrying debt, please, please do not miss this webinar on Tuesday. I want to make sure you really understand what strategies are real and available to you, forgive me, and what deceptive practices there are out there that I want you to really be careful of. Okay. So I'm scanning the chat just to see. Hello, Britt. Welcome. Just to see if there are any questions. I don't see any. Forgive me, everybody. I'm fighting a cold. No questions here. Let me check Facebook. I'm not seeing any questions here. All right. Okay, everyone. So then we will call this complete. And I will hope to see many of you with me for the live webinar on Tuesday. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday weekend. And please join me again next Friday live to answer your questions, your challenges. That's what this time is for. All right. Take care of yourselves, everybody. And thanks so much for being here. Bye-bye.